Hey everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. We're so happy you're here. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica. We are the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants with Harkla, and today we are going to give you 5 sensory tips for travel.
Now let's just kick this off by saying that traveling with kids is exhausting. I will admit I have yet to fly with my children.
Your children are very young.
I have 2 young kiddos, under 2, close enough. And it's exhausting, it scares me. But we have learned throughout the years since being, occupational therapy assistants, sensory tips to implement to make traveling a little bit easier. I definitely do use these when we take road trips. We've taken a lot of road trips. You're a big flyer though.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of flying and more road trips than flying for sure. And using all of the different sensory strategies and tips that we're going to talk about today, it's a game changer.
Yes.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Now, we always want to understand why our children are struggling with certain things. So first, we're going to dive into why traveling can be so difficult for some children. And the first reason is that it's a change in the normal routine. You likely have an everyday, every week routine with your family that is fairly consistent for the most part. And when you travel, everything changes. And that change can be really, really challenging for a lot of children.
You have to think too, you're in new locations, you're in busy, overstimulating environments, things that the child maybe has never had the opportunity to process before. So you're in these new locations, your routine is off. Of course it's going to be challenging. Of course these kids are going to lose their minds. It's inevitable.
If your child struggles with overall communication skills, oftentimes it can be scary because they don't know what's happening or why. They don't know where you're going. They don't know how long you're going to be there. When are you going to come home? It's a lot of unknowns. And oftentimes our kiddos with sensory processing challenges also struggle to project themselves into the future. So they can't visualize and plan in their mind what it's going to look like when they get to grandma's house or when they go to the Grand Canyon. You show them pictures, but they can't fully grasp that concept of that's where I'm going to be and that's what it's going to be like. So it's scary. They don't know what's going to happen.
And maybe they're thinking about their sensory swing. How am I going to sit in my sensory swing every day and swing for 20 minutes in order to feel the most regulated? How is that going to work at the Grand Canyon? Do they have swing hooks in the ceiling? I don't know.
At the Airbnb?
You never know, right? So those are the things that are going through their mind. They probably have an idea of what regulates them and what keeps them calm throughout the day. Are they going to be able to have those strategies available? Let's dive into how you can improve traveling, how you can handle sensory processing challenges on the go.
Also keep in mind that if you're anxious, that is going to translate to your child also feeling anxious. They will feed off of your anxiety. So even before you try any of these strategies we're going to give you, just make sure you can figure out how to regulate your own nervous system so that you feel less anxious so you can better co-regulate with your child when they're anxious.
So the first thing we're going to recommend is making sensory strategies available on the go. Getting them however you need to get them, put them in a suitcase, put them in a clear box, put them in your car. We're going to share some sensory strategies that you can take on the go. If you need more strategies, more help on this, we do have another YouTube video, how to make a calm down corner, how to, use your favorite items for self-regulation. So definitely check those resources out. But things like noise canceling headphones, weighted blankets, weighted vests, body socks, maybe taking a Lycra sheet or a compression sheet with you and put that on the bed as well. So all of these sensory strategies that you use at home, what can you take with you and make available when you are away from home?
And specifically, if you can create something that is small and portable to take with you in the car or with you on the airplane. So it'll have things like the foldable noise canceling headphones that fold into a really small, compact little ball. So they're small and easy to take with you. Maybe a weighted lap pad that's small and portable, mouth fidgets, gum, sour items or sour candy to suck on, which can be really regulating. Hand fidgets are always really great as well. And all of these things you can put into like a little case or a little bag that's easy to transport.
If you think about snacks from a sensory perspective as well, you can pack sensory snacks. Things that are chewy, like high chews or taffy. Things that are crunchy, like pretzels.
Or apples.
Apples, carrots, celery. Things that are very intensely flavored, sour things like sour candy spray. I was going to say lemons, but who takes lemons with them?
Oh, what about the lemon heads?
Lemon heads, but again,
Yeah.
that's candy, so if you're trying to avoid that,
That's fair.
definitely go with the high chews because those are dye-free. So think about your snacks from a sensory perspective, and you can use those as regulating tools.
The next thing is going to be to use a visual schedule. Like we talked about at the beginning of this video, oftentimes our kiddos don't know when, where, what is going on. So incorporate a visual schedule into your traveling is going to be so helpful. Use a visual schedule so they know where you're going, how you're getting there, what you're going to do when you're there, and they have that visual, they can see it and understand it so much better.
Mm-hmm. In addition to that, using a sensory diet similar to the one that you use at home, because I know you use one at home,
right?
So using that on the go, if they swing every day, can you find a park that has swings that they can sit on and swing to regulate their bodies in the morning after you go on a walk? Weighted blankets, bring your weighted blanket, just make sure to get it approved TSA-wise. That can be an issue these days, I think. So whatever sensory strategies you use at home, movement breaks, deep pressure, noise canceling headphones, music, whatever you use regularly for your sensory diet, see what you can find when you are on vacation or traveling with your child.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember to use a sensory diet before you get on the airplane or before you get in the car for a long drive, and making sure you're giving your child the sensory input that their body needs before they're required to sit for a long period of time, whether that's on the airplane or in the car. Now, we do have some free templates that you can download to use, visual schedule template, sensory diet template. So make sure you go to the link in the description and you can download those freebies.
Remember, we always want to try to make sensory supports proactive rather than reactive. So we're going to try to give them sensory input, try to do their sensory diet before they've had a sensory meltdown or before they've become upset, rather than afterwards trying to organize their body. So figure out how we can build in those sensory diet activities, those sensory breaks into their routine can be really helpful for their nervous system to stay organized throughout the day.
The next one we're going to talk about is decompression. So allowing your child some time to decompress after traveling all day long. So maybe you can go for a walk outside, go to the playground and let them get some really great heavy work movement outdoors. Maybe even letting them go barefoot if possible, if it's safe, just to get really good grounding through their feet, and allowing them that time and space to just decompress, be alone, be quiet, don't ask them a lot of questions, whatever, would trigger them. Make sure you're not doing that when they're after the long travel day.
Think about less screen time, more outdoor time. So really let their nervous system decompress and reset. Maybe you make a sensory corner where you're traveling. If you have a sheet or a blanket you could hang up to make a dark enclosed space, you can provide those sensory strategies in that area. Again, like Jessica mentioned, sometimes asking them all the questions, talking to them nonstop is just a little too much for them to process, especially after those long days. Think about how you feel after traveling for a long time. You're probably over it and exhausted as well. So let's use tools together as a family, as a unit, to everyone can decompress.
We do have a YouTube video on how to make a sensory corner. If you're curious about how to do that, check out that video for sure.
The last strategy we're going to recommend is to make a social story. If you aren't sure what a social story is, all you're going to do is write a little script with some pictures of what's expected and how they're supposed to act or feel in certain situations, especially with things that are challenging. So if they are uncomfortable with flying, we can talk about how it's going to feel and then talk about the strategies they can use in order to feel regulated and what is going to come after the flying as well. So how they're going to feel, what they're going to do, and then how they're going to feel after they've successfully completed it.
We do have a free social story template that you can download that will also be linked with our other freebies, but it also describes how to use the social story. So like Rachel said, using pictures and a written script, create the social story with your child, read through it before you go. They're great.
They're great.
Social stories are great.
Yep, easy tools to have on hand.
Yes. I think that's it.
I think that's it. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. I know I have a lot of regulation strategies myself because I'm a little hesitant. Essential oils, deep pressure, deep breathing, lots of breaks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid to stop and take breaks if possible. Like if you're on a road trip, you know, I know when my son and I, we took a really long road trip to the Oregon coast and we stopped many times, found grass, we found a playground once, and even just 5 minutes outdoors, playing, running, jumping, rolling, crawling is a great way to decompress, and make sure you're doing it yourself.
Okay, that is it for our video today. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you like this video. If it was helpful, leave a comment. Let us know your favorite strategy for traveling, what's helped you. Maybe you can help other people as well. Maybe we can learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
So leave that in the comments, and then make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube video. Wow. And make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel as well.
And then follow us on social media. We are at Harkla_family, as well as at All Things Sensory Podcast. And we have a podcast, so make sure you listen to that. It's All Things Sensory. We're on all of the different podcast platforms, and we have a ton of information there as well.
All right, thanks for spending time with us today. We will see you next week. We do launch a new YouTube video every Tuesday and a new podcast every Wednesday. Okay. Now, let's just... Oh, okay.
Oh my God, we're done.
Yes.